Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rebellion, and today we're taking a look at Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Basically this was going to be a review for Shadows of the Empire Outrider and Dash Rendar. That's Dash right here in case anybody doesn't know, which most Star Wars fans I believe knows about Shadows of the Empire. And his ship, the Outrider. The scale is a little off here. This is something that always bothered me about this ship. The Outrider is supposed to be the sister ship of the Millennium Falcon. I do have the Millennium Falcon, and this ship would fit inside of the Millennium Falcon. I get why they didn't make it to scale. This was one of the first things that Kenner started doing as far as the expanded universe would go, and it got some really good treatment. Shadows of the Empire, if I believe I have the story correct, I believe it was one of the expanded universe things that Lucas kind of sanctioned, that he was like, okay, that's kind of cool, you know. This story would take place in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, while Luke and his friends are trying to go out and track down Boba Fett and to try and hopefully get back Han Solo before he is it winds up being delivered to Jabba the Hutt. Dash Rendar plays basically the Han Solo-esque type of person here. They need a mercenary bounty hunter that can kind of maneuver his way, kind of like Han Solo would. So it's kind of the people would say it's kind of the placeholder for Han Solo, since Han Solo's in carbonite. But Dash had a really good fleshed out story in this, and was definitely different than Han Solo. I basically just wanted to do the ship and the figure today, but I also just wanted to show you the other treatments that Shadows of the Empire received. It not only was done in started in a novel form by Steve Perry, and not the should have been down, not that Steve Perry, but the author Steve Perry, and then that got translated into Star Wars Shadows of the Empire video game on the Nintendo 64, and you can see my strategy guide and then the actual video game like insert booklet. The game is actually downstairs. I've kind of had it packed away. It's kind of a pain to get to, but one that I'm thinking about breaking out and playing again. And then taking it a step farther, there was a soundtrack that was a companion piece to the book, and then they used the soundtrack to do the soundtrack and scoring of the video game. It is not scored by John Williams, although he is in. They do use the Star Wars main title theme, but Joel McNeely does the soundtrack, and it is very John Williams-esque. You know, definitely when you're doing something Star Wars music-wise, you want it to feel as if John Williams scored it. So the composer did that very well. And I've been meaning to send a copy of that to ODC, that's me, and Chapman Films. And at the time I'm filming this, this is Chapman Films' birthday, so happy birthday, Chapman Films. I'm going to try and send this to you digitally as soon as this review is done. So I'm going to try to send it to your email. We'll see if that works, and you too, ODC. So I've got all that out of the way. This is a really cool story. Basically, the highlights of it is, like I said, they're trying to get Han Solo back, and Prince Shizor, or Shizor, I never knew how to say his name. I was excited when the video game came out. I was going to hear how all the names are said, and this was still in the day and age where there wasn't a lot of voice over in video games. So I was just left to my own imagination on how it was pronounced. But he has kind of aligned himself with the Emperor and is trying to push out Darth Vader to be like, look, Darth Vader has kind of failed you on every single front here, and I am actually the one that should be your apprentice, not Darth Vader. So Vader not only is trying to go after his son, but is trying to show the Emperor that he is worthy to still be side by side with the Emperor. And Prince Shizor is trying to seduce Princess Leia and pit Leia against Luke Skywalker and his friends and Dash Rendar. Now, in the course of the story, spoilers, ready? 3, 2, 1. Dash ends up dying at the end of the novel of Shadows of the Empire. But in the video game, they went back and talked to the writer of the novel. Should have been gone. Not that Steve Perry, but the author Steve Perry. And he rewrote a different ending for Dash in Shadows of the Empire video game where Dash lives. So that's the quick little synopsis. I wasn't intending on going all the way through Shadows of the Empire. And I've got to think I was really close to finishing the novelization of this book. This, I believe, is a Taco Bell. Yeah, check this out. I remember going to see the original Star Wars trilogy from Taco Bell. You peel this off, and of course, if you match, you get collect game piece numbers 6, 7, and 8 to win $10,000. And you think I won $10,000? No, I didn't win $10,000 at Taco Bell. But I did get something free. I don't remember what it was. I can't even see it anymore. That was my placeholder in this book. So I never actually finished the book. I played the video game through multiple times, so I knew how it ended, at least as far as the video game was concerned. But I was told later that Dash actually dies in the novelization by "Should have been gone," Steve Perry. That's a joke that's not going to get old. So I apologize for all that. Somebody's probably going, "Geez, Rob, it's probably taking you 10, 12 minutes just to get to the action figure and the ship that we've been looking at." So I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a backstory on the video game and novelization first. So let's get those out of the way here, because the main focus of this review is, in fact, the ship and Dash Rendar. Now, we'll get Dash out of the way first, and we'll take a look at the Outrider. Now, the Millennium Falcon is just in the next room, but I'm not going to have enough room currently at the moment to be able to show you both ships side by side. I'm going to have to do that probably when I get to the Millennium Falcon review. So remember this review, and we'll come back to it. I just don't have enough space to get both ships up here side by side. Both produced by Kenner. This was during the Powers of the Force, and like I said, the special editions and the re-release of the films in theaters is when this line came out. And if I look at the back of Dash here, I believe his, well, color me stupid, because his product information isn't on there. So I'm going to try to find an annotation that's going to scroll right along here to tell you when these came out. I want to believe it was 98, 99, somewhere around there. Maybe even, you know what, I take that back. It may even be as late as 1997. Could have been 96. Wow. Really sad there, Rob. The novel, I can tell you, with looking at the back of the novel here, pardon me one moment, this was printed in 1996. So I've got to believe that this came out in 1997, as late as 1998. You figure once the novels come out and they decide to do a video game and then an action figure line based on the video game. So I may say 1998. It could be the latest that this came out. Again, I apologize for making this take so long. I always thought this was a really cool ship. I like that it looks like the Millennium Falcon a little bit, but it had compartments that the Millennium Falcon didn't, that you would read in the novel and see in the video game. Was very much felt like it was the Millennium Falcon again, because it was a sister ship. But it did cool things in the video game and reading in the novel that the Millennium Falcon did not do. The Falcon must have been like the first version, and then somebody said, hey, we can improve on that and do this. So I loved this ship, and this may sound like blasphemy here. I think I like it more than the Millennium Falcon. I just have such fond memories of this video game, and then reading the novel, which I haven't completed now that it's almost 20 years old. But I just thought the designs for this were so very cool. Nothing lit up here, which initially when I bought it, this is a clear plastic here. I thought there would have been some sound effects that would have gone along with it, but sadly there are not. But just a really cool design of the ship. And I'm going to have to try and get a little higher so I can show you the main features of this ship. All right, we're back here. So we've got the landing gear that's at the bottom of the ship, which is always really cool. which those fold right in. You have turrets that move on the top and bottom of the ship. The Falcon had like the saucer, and then a turret at the top, had nothing at the bottom. So that was the one of the other improvements. You have a turret on the side that rotates all the way around. And then the other cool thing that this did, and it did it in the video game, the center section would come apart, and then you have the turrets go inwards, and then the cockpit would turn around. So it's almost like a B-wing fighter in some aspects too. So they didn't make it do this in the toy, but the cockpit would then rotate and stay in this position as the ship is constantly turning in and over on itself. And that was something really cool they did in the video game. So this would constantly stay in, you know, normal cockpit position. So I thought that was just a really cool design. And the Outrider does make, and I've got it upside down, the Outrider does make its cinematic appearance in a Star Wars movie. And somebody may be saying, Rob, I missed that. In the special editions of A New Hope, you can see the Outrider leave Mos Eisley. So if I edited this correctly, I would have put the insert in where you could see the ship. And now the other thing that I really like here is Dash Rendar himself. Now I have two Dash Rendars. I'll bring the other one up here. Here's the first one. I just thought Dash was a really cool character, and I wish he was kind of created during George Lucas's run, that we would have got to see and got to know him a little bit more than we did just in the novel. But I thought it was really, really cool character and fun to play as in the video game. So you see his accessories that comes here, this like blaster rifle backpack type thing, which I always ended up taking it off. He wore a little bit in the video game in one spot, but he always had his trusty blaster at his side. So you had some movement here. There was no way to really attach this anywhere. Just kind of like sat back there, which was kind of cool. You could kind of pose him here. But I bought a second one because he could never stand. Now on this particular table, he doesn't stay. None of my figures really stand really well, which is why I have them on the base that you normally see. So I'll bring up the second one here, and I noticed after the figures had been out, they kind of re-released them, and Dash got a better stance to be able to stand. So this is the one I generally used when I was standing my figures up for a while. So you kind of see the stance here. He's got one leg that's kicked forward, and these legs are both straight, and I can tell because of the belt lining up. But this one stood a lot better, and I don't know. Sometimes I think just during production, or maybe it was just the way he was put in the box, but you could see their leg stance is a lot wider. So just for the sake of the review, we'll look at the newer one, which I think I got this a year later than the one I just had there. So his head does look left to right. Arms go all the way around. Legs go forward. And he has a turn at the waist. So we went from a 5-point action figure to a 6-point action figure in the Powers of the Force line. Not every single figure received a waist swivel, but it was a nice welcome addition to the Star Wars line. A lot of people, some people like the Powers of the Force line. They tended to bulk people up a little bit. Like Luke Skywalker is really, really ripped. Like Luke's been lifting a lot of weights being a farm boy. We can put Dash in the Outrider. And the cockpit does detach, which is really kind of a pain, so I guess I'm not going to take it off. So we got an arm up there. Another cool thing about this, the cockpit does rotate around, which I thought was really pretty cool. And it was kind of cool to have dash. I have 2 dashes. I could have just one standing with my other Star Wars figures, and then keep figure inside the cockpit. So that was the look at Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. That was part of the Powers of the Force collection that came out, and then, like I said, everything started and began with the Should Have Been Gone Steve Perry novel, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. If you've never read this, go check it out. I'm sure it's on Kindle or Amazon Prime or any place that you can get your books digitally. I believe this book is out of print now. I recommend reading it, although, like I said, I haven't read it. If you've played the video game, it's a blast to play, and it's something I may be firing up here before too long. So, we will see you tomorrow as I continue to count down till the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens. Can't wait. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.